The Tale of the Irish Mermaid by Joseph Holloway. Once upon a time, there lived an Irish mermaid. She lived, as you might perhaps expect, in the deep waters of the Irish Sea. Unfortunately, the mermaid was cruel and liked nothing better than playing tricks, hurting and stealing from the sailors on the surface. One sailor man in particular she enjoyed tormenting the most was a man named Iain. Now Iain was almost the complete opposite of the young Irish mermaid. He was kind, confident, and a great sailor. However, he was getting angry at the Irish mermaid stealing all of his shipments, and even worse, luring the ship's crew into the rocks and reefs with her enchanting voice, causing the ships to sink and many sailors to lose their lives. Though he tried his hardest to warn others not to venture into the territory of the Irish mermaid, people laughed at him. "What's all this talk about mermaids?" said the noble sea captain. "Everyone knows they don't exist." A week later, the sea captain and his entire crew were sunk and their cargo stolen. Worse still, there were no survivors. "You're a young fool to believe that, Iain, your tall tales of sea creatures," said the grizzled admiral. A week later, the grizzled admiral and his entire ship and crew were sunk by the Irish mermaid, their cargo stolen, and worse still, there were no survivors. Desperate, Iain decided to take matters into his own hands. Venturing inland, he sought the help of the fabled Leprecaun. He lived in the hills of the north, and after a long while of searching, Iain found the little man sitting atop a small rock, overlooking the sea, playing a sad melody on his little wooden flute. "Pray, good Leprechaun, why is your tune so sad?" asked Iain to the small figure, no bigger than his knee. "Oh, despair upon this day! The gold the mermaid stole away. Try as I might to warn good men, the mermaid always strikes again." Iain smiled at his rhyme, and explained to the Leprechaun how he too was plagued by the mischief of the Irish mermaid. The Leprechaun put two skinny fingers to his chin, stroking his small beard. "Might I suggest then to you, my friend, we work together for the mermaid's end?" Iain happily accepted. Then together the two set off to find the mermaid's lair in a little red wooden boat conjured by the Leprechaun himself. When they arrived to the nearest point, the Leprechaun turned and said, "The mermaid's lair is hereabout, in a cave with one way out. So might I suggest a crafty trap to seal the mermaid in a snap?" Iain thought for a moment, then wondered how they would do it. After all, the mermaid lived at the very bottom of the Irish Sea, and neither could see or even breathe under the water. "Ha! Don't worry about that plight. A shark I'll turn thee full of might," laughed the Leprechaun, dancing with joy. "Then I hope upon this day the mermaid's cave will there she stay." Then before Iain could say another word, a showering golden spark erupted from the Leprechaun's fingertips and engulfed him. Next he knew, he was swimming through the murky water with ease, feeling sleek, strong, and very fast. Knowing what he had to do, Iain began to swim down. He swam down, and it got darker and darker, until the weight of the water became too heavy and too uncomfortable. Finally, after a little searching, Iain discovered an enormous cave, of which he thought must be the lair of the Irish mermaid. And yet, sure enough, upon swimming into the underwater chasm, gold, pearls, and many other shining objects came into view, among which were knives, forks, spoons, glistening shells, and of course, a black pot filled to the brim with the leprechaun gold. Suddenly, there was an ear-piercing shriek. Turning with his sleek, agile body, Iain caught a glimpse of the mermaid, looking in horror at his shark-like form. Thinking quickly, he swam through the chain of the pot, which swung round his neck, and then he bolted at the mermaid, baring his shark-like teeth in a snarl. The mermaid screamed and sped out the way, heading deeper into the cave. Realizing too late he had gone too fast, he swam with a crash into the rocks of the cave mouth. The rocks began to fall like rain, beginning to seal the entrance. With a yell, the mermaid sped quickly back up the cave entrance, but it was too late. One massive boulder fell with a loud boom, sealing the mermaid and the shining treasure inside. The leprechaun was simply thrilled at the return of his treasure once Iain came back to the surface. Once Iain transformed into his human form, he explained to the leprechaun what had happened. The leprechaun laughed and said, "Such joy it brings to hear the word that mermaid's song will never be heard. And since thee, boy, have done so well, a wish I'll give to you, I'll sell." Iain's heart leapt, and he longed to be out on the open sea once more. The kindly leprechaun smiled. Once more, golden sparks shot from his fingertips to reveal a mighty vessel, which a delighted Captain Iain sailed all around the world in, without fear or worry of anyone stealing or hurting his men ever again.